Hi, this is Troy from Full-Gamut Defense Arts, and as you may have guessed, you see this tassel swinging all over the place, that I am doing a sword video. Tonight, I'm just going to concentrate on sword Chan Szu Chin. Okay? This applies to both broadsword and straight sword, and I'll tell you why. My philosophy on the sword forms is that they should be done, well, let me back up. The straight sword is supposed to be the more sophisticated weapon. Lighter blade, thinner, double-edged. It's supposed to be small, quick movements, and you're not really clashing with other weapons. And then the broadsword is thought of as this big, heavy, hacking weapon. Well, that's not the way Grandmaster Feng treated it, and that's not the way I treat it. While most teachers would say that you need to start off with the broadsword and then learn straight sword later on when you're at a higher level, I say the opposite. You should start with straight sword, because the straight sword, if you learn it first, you learn what it's supposed to be like, then when you get to the broadsword, you don't treat it like a big hacking weapon. It's not an axe, okay? It's a curved, slicing blade. This is my opinion, and this is what I saw from Grandmaster Feng and from Master Jian. They did not treat it like a hacking weapon. So while there are chops with it, there are very few compared to some other styles or teachers' interpretations. So anyway, that's why these Chan Szu silk reeling pertain to both straight sword and broadsword. So there are really only 3 of them, but 2 of them are done stationary and moving. And there's good reason for that. They teach you different things about the sword itself and about how you use it in the form. Once you really get comfortable with these Chan Szu, your form should take on a whole different feel. Okay, a whole different quality. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so very simple. If you've watched any of my walking drill videos, I'm going to start with the walking ones. If you've watched the walking drill videos, you turn out the right, shift right, step forward, weight goes forward, weight goes back, turn the foot out, step through, weight goes forward, weight goes back, turn out, and so on, okay? You can also do the walking drill backwards. And if you want to do these Chan Szu walking backwards, you certainly can. It wouldn't hurt. But I will do my best to show you this. I'm going to do this from the side, so I have a little bit more room to work. Okay, so, well, first off, a little bit on grip. Okay, a lot of the Chinese styles, especially the external styles, bring the hand up so that they're gripping around the hilt. Some even bring their finger over the hilt. We do not. Where the brass ends and the wood starts, that is the edge of my hand. Okay? And I'm not death gripping this. This is not a full grip. This is the index finger and the thumb are the tightest, and then they get looser as they go back. That changes to thumb and pinky being tightest, and then loose as they come forward. Okay? So this, anybody that's familiar with Iaijutsu, the Japanese Kenjutsu, Iaijutsu, Bato Jutsu, the Japanese sword styles, that is basically like what their grip is. This one is anyway. Index finger tightest, little bit looser, almost nothing. There's good reason for that. It keeps the hand from being too stiff, and it gives more life to the sword. and it allows really good control of the sword. A lot of people just keep the whole hand loose, and the sword tends to kind of flop around in their hand. This allows you very good control of that blade at all times, so that's why we do that. Again, a lot of Hunyuan people would not agree with me. They just do the loose, floppy grip, and they figure that's good enough because we're not really fighting with these. I treat this like I need to go out and fight with it. So anyway, backing off here. So I'm going to start off. I'm actually going to turn out the left foot first because I'm stepping forward with the right. And the sword will be on the same side as the forward leg. So shift into the left, and my fingers are pointed forward, okay, so that edge. Stepping forward, we use the secret sword hand, or so-called, okay, 2 fingers extended, the other 3 forming a circle. Bowing the arm, I shift forward, and the left arm comes up, and the right cuts up at the angle. I sit back, turn out the right. The tips of the secret sword hand come to the wrist of the right hand. Step through and cut up, and you're augmenting with those fingers. And it's on the thumb side, the radius side. Okay? Once I get to my right side, the sword continues to go back. The left comes down, and the toe turns out at the same time. Shift forward, step through, cut up. Shift back, augment, step through, cut up. Pretty simple. Okay? It really is a simple exercise, but there's more going on than people realize, because we have this movement of protect the knee, okay, in the form. Sometimes we're coming here. And getting people used to, when you're going to the left, from right to left, the left hand leads the way. And when you're going from the left to the right, the left helps the right along, okay? And getting used to that is one of the benefits of this particular exercise, because people get mixed up in the form. Where's my left hand supposed to be? Well, it's either out here leading the way, or it's helping this right get back to the right, okay? So doing that in stationary, I can do this one facing the camera. That is, if you can see my feet, okay? So I'm going to turn out the left. I'm stepping forward with the right, and I cut up. As the sword comes back, the weight comes back, I augment, and I draw the foot back. I shift into the right, step forward with the left, cut up. Step back, step forward, cut up. Shift back, bring the left fingers to the right wrist, bring the right foot back, step forward with the left, cut up. Okay. So what else is going on? Well, I'm practicing that grip I told you about. So at this point, if I exaggerate, I have just the thumb and index finger gripping tightly, the rest are loose. So I'll extend them so you can see. Okay. Here, it's the thumb and the pinky. The rest are more loose because I'm coming up. I need that flexibility here, not well, I misspoke, I'm sorry. As I'm coming down, that's what it is, but then as I come back up again, they switch to the thumb and index finger, because at the end of my motion, I'm tightening the grip, and there's this flicking motion, okay? So now I'm back to pinky and thumb, coming up. Okay. I keep misspeaking. It's thumb and index. Thumb and index. All the upcuts are thumb and index. I'm sorry, I apologize. I keep misspeaking. Thumb and index as you're coming up, so that at the end you can get that flick by tightening the other fingers. Okay. As you're coming down, that's when it switches to thumb and pinky. Okay. So I do apologize for that. Thumb and index, flick. Thumb and index, flick. Okay. So there's quite a bit going on here. You're practicing that grip, which gives you a more lively form, more lively sword, gives you better control over the sword, in my opinion. And you're practicing those flicking, those small flicking motions that we do have in the form. Okay? So that is cutting up. So, of course, the next one is cutting down. Okay? So, again, turning out the left, I'm going to lead with the left hand, and the right comes up. I don't want to go back too far. It's still in my peripheral, and it comes down. I shift back, augment the wrist, step through, cut down. Cut down at the angle, augment the wrist, step through. So same walking drill. Okay? And of course, stationary, same thing. Here. Here. And these are just making an X in front of the body, right? And here, we've changed. I'm cutting. So I'm coming up at this point with thumb and index finger, and I can flick. So this is a downward flick, where the other one is an upward flick, right? So I've got my downward flick, and I slice through. I switch to thumb and pinky. I step forward, and that's thumb and pinky, then back to thumb and index finger, and flick. And I'm over-exaggerating the flick. It's really not that pronounced. It's just right here. Okay? It's just that change of grip. Okay. And why do we want to do all that flicking? Well, the story is that the bottom third of this blade, or bottom almost half of this blade, is not sharpened at all. That's what we use for blocking the other sword. The upper half, up to where the tip starts to curve in, is somewhat sharp. We do cut with it. And then the tip, just that last inch, is supposed to be like a razor blade. And so the story goes that what we're doing with those little flicks is just little razor cuts. So you razor cut instead of trying to cut somebody's arm off. You just, death by 1,000 cuts kind of idea. So, all right. So that's the main Chan Szu. Now, of course, we've done upward cuts, downward cuts. Now we need to do horizontal. You can do this one walking. I'll let you figure that one out. For the most part, it's just done stationary. But play with it. Make up all your own Chan Szu. So again, when we're going to the right, this hand is up and leading the way. When we're going to the left, This hand is up and leading the way, and we're going to the right, it's down at the wrist, and it's augmenting. So this one really is just keeping the sword horizontal. But the thing here is learning to let the wrist rotate. Let the weight, almost like the weight of the sword, make you pronate. Forgive me if I get these backwards. I believe it's pronate, supinate. Okay, palm up is supinate, pronate is palm down. So here I'm supine, palm up, and I want to pronate at the end of it. And I want that to be nice and smooth. Okay, that has to do with that change in grip. So here I'm thumb and index finger mainly, and then that little flick at the end and pronate. And then I come down and thumb and index finger, and as I supinate, tighten the grip so I get that little bit of a flick at the end, and it comes out. Pronate, supinate. Pronate, supinate. Keeping the sword horizontal. I don't want to get into the habit of doing this or doing this. Okay. I want to practice my horizontal cuts. Okay? And that is basically all of the Chan Szu for the straight sword. Again, the broadsword, the exact same. The only difference is we're not using secret sword hand. Broadsword gets a broad hand, flat hand. Thin straight sword gets that narrow, thin hand. Okay? And that is it. Thank you.